All right, welcome to the AI Studio AI Agent Bounty campaign. My name is Lindsay Walker. I'm the product manager for AI Studio. And then Peter, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Peter, and I'm one of the team members responsible for the technical side of the AI Studio. So happy to be here.
He's our tech lead. He doesn't say that, but he is. Lots of brilliant ideas coming from Peter every day. So what we are doing is we're kicking off a 5-week AI bounty campaign in order to spur builders to bring out their creativity and see what kind of agents they can build on the Hedera network. We also have a brand new reimagined AI Agent Kit SDK that we wanted to get out in the community and get some feedback on, so that we can start to build things that are functional and useful for everybody around. And there we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So this is the official kickoff for the AI Studio Hedera AI Agent Bounty campaign. So it's a 5-week bounty program. It technically started on Monday. You can see all the details at ai-bounties.hedera.com. There you'll see information about all the bounties. You'll see the rules and information about submitting, as well as the form itself to submit it. So everything that you need to know is on that website. Each Monday, and we're going on UTC time, a new bounty will open up for the week. So at 9 a.m. UTC, a new bounty is open for submission. And you have until that Sunday at 11:59 UTC to finish your submission and turn it in. All the bounties are visible on this website. So if you visit the website, it looks like this. You can see sort of some of these details that I'm talking about right now. You want to pick a bounty because there's only one submission per entrant. Build with the Hedera Agent Kit, or there's some bounties where instead of building specifically with the Hedera Agent Kit, you can use a Hedera X402 facilitator or MCP server. And of course, submit before Sunday at 23:59 UTC, right before midnight. And you'll get paid in HBAR if your submission is chosen. One thing I really want to note, look at all the bounties first and see what you're thinking of building fits the earlier bounty or the later one, because you are only allowed to submit for one bounty. So as I said, you want to use the Hedera Agent Kit SDK to create your agent. These SDKs are compatible with different AI frameworks. Specifically, you can build with Google ADK, the Vercel AI SDK, or LangChain. And any tools that you use in the Hedera Agent Kit will be adapted to those different frameworks. And we have great features in this SDK, like plugins, hooks and policies, and these are hooks and policies at the SDK level that allow you to put controls, limits, and audit trails onto your AI agents. And I highly encourage you to take a look at the docs, which I can also go over quickly to learn more. Actually, why don't we do that a little bit? So if you go to docs.hedera.com, there's a nice little banner that'll take you on the home page to the AI Studio docs. And you can see the different tools that we have available. Obviously, the Hedera Agent Kit, Eliza OS plugin, which is not a part of this hackathon, and we have a couple tools that I'll go over in a little bit. You can learn more about the Agent Lab, which is our tool for prototyping quickly. You can learn more about plugins, which are part of a couple of our bounties. And this is a way of bringing functionality from other platforms, tools, APIs into the Hedera Agent Kit to combine it with the Hedera tools. And then our hooks and policies are really well documented here. One thing to note as well about the Hedera Agent Kit, if you've worked with the Hedera Agent Kit in previous hackathons, we have a new version out, and it's structured a lot differently. The tools are put together a little bit differently. They are backward compatible. However, if you want to be able to use the hooks and policies, you'll need to implement the tools the way that it is outlined here. You can see all of the functionality that is available in the Agent Kit. And another big difference with the version 4 of the Hedera Agent Kit is the modular packages. You no longer just import the Hedera Agent Kit. you import the plugins, hooks, policies, all the different things separately. So that's something that you'll have to think about and read a little bit about if you've worked with the Hedera Agent Kit before. We also have housed our NPM packages under the official hashgraph domain, which is another change after version 3. So all things to note if you are an experienced builder with the Hedera Agent Kit. Key dates, May 15th, and that bounties are live. They were visible last Friday, but the first bounty opened for submission yesterday. May 18th through June 19th, we're going to be doing 30-minute office hours on Discord. You can join by visiting the URL hedera.com/discord. And that's where you can chat async. The best channels to look for that are the developer announcements channel, where announcements about this will be posted, and then ask questions in the developer channel, or start a post or thread in developer support, where we will be monitoring and happy to help you with any questions you have. Today is May 19th, and we are having this kickoff. It'll be published on X and YouTube. And then on June 10th, we'll bring our tech leads back, and we're going to do an AMA voice only on the Hedera Dev Twitter channel. June 21st, the last bounties are closing, and then there's a judging period for about 3 weeks, where we will be looking at all of the bounties and making our calls. So none of the winners will be announced until July 13th later on. We also reserve the right to modify any of these dates because, things happen. So let's look at the bounties really quick. This time, what we're really focusing on, one thing that's a little bit different from our hackathons is we're looking a little bit more at the general, not just the Web3 landscape, but agentic commerce is something that we're really excited about, and industries across Web 2 and Web 3 are jumping on this bandwagon. So we want to see how we can kind of blend together Hedera functionality and some of the standards that are coming out in the general typical tech world in Web 2, as they say. So we have sort of 5 levels of agents. They get a little bit more complex as you go. And we also have a bonus bounty, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So right now, for this week, we have a low lift bounty. It's a fun basic Hedera agent. If you feel like vibe coding something really simple, just use the Hedera Agent Kit or the Agent Lab, which I'll show you in a minute. And one of the plugins that we have provided, going back to the doc, the plugins can be seen here. And we have a bunch of third-party plugins that bring in functionality from other platforms. These plugins are audited at certain versions. So if you are using these plugins, take a look at which version has been audited and make sure you're using that. And we have new plugins being published all the time, which is really exciting. We just had this machine payments protocol plugin created by one of our community members. So use the Hedera Agent Kit and create an agent. And for this one, you don't even need to have like a live agent hosted. What we would ask is that you just do an X post, tag Hedera and Hedera devs, and show us your agent in action, as well as share that GitHub repo. The next level is our enterprise agent plus a plugin. So we ask that you build an enterprise grade agent. So think about what traditional larger companies might be looking for in an agent. What kind of functionality do they want? How can they help? How can an agent help them make their business more efficient or knowledgeable or useful? You'll be asked to implement a plugin. It could be an existing one, or if you're feeling very adventurous, you can build a plugin. However, there's the later bounty that's better for that if you're building your own plugin. And this bounty is worth $750 paid out in HBAR. The next one is, we don't quite have it up yet, but we will be hosting a Hedera testnet MCP. And there is an X402 facilitator that Peter's team is hosting as well. And we're asking you to integrate with that to create a system where an agent where an agent can create a paid action that directly triggers execution. The next bounty in week 4 is our Hedera Commerce Agent. We want you to build an agent that exposes services requiring payment in HBAR This level where it's a $1,000 bounty, we ask that instead of doing a Twitter post, you do actually host an agent at a live URL for at least 90 days after the close of our bounties. And there's a chat interface and there's a wallet integration, so we can actually see how these commercial protocols work out. One theme through all of these bounties is, especially with this one, but integrating some of these industry standards will give you a leg up. Industry standards might be Google's sort of standards like Agent Payment Protocol, Agentic Commerce Protocol, Universal Commerce Protocol. If you have questions about these things, we have it linked on the website, MPP. The last one is our Hedera policy agent. And this is where you use kick the tires on our new hooks and policies in the Hedera Agent Kit SDK. We ask that you implement your own policy. And by policy, I mean some sort of deterministic hook where either you can prevent some action from occurring, or maybe what you could do is log something on a Hedera consensus service as well. So we want you to write your own policy and build your own agent that shows how this policy works. The bonus bounty across all of these. There's a bonus little bounty here. We'll be looking at all of the qualifying submissions, and anyone that we think best incorporates a general standard will win a little bonus of $250. And this doesn't necessarily have to be one of the winners of the other bounties. We may give it to somebody that just did a really good job of like incorporating one or more standards. To take a look at all of these bounties, go to ai-bounties.hedera.com, and they're all visible right now. You can click on each one of these and get a little bit more details on what we're looking for in each one of these bounties. Okay, so there's some submission requirements. One of the main reasons we're doing this is we have the new Hedera Agent Kit. We have some new features in there, and we want feedback for that. So first, we have to have a public GitHub repository that must be public. It must be open for review. We are looking at your commit history there as well. We want you to build either using Hedera Agent Kit or one of the services we provide, depending on the bounty. So that could be the Hedera MCP or X402. And in a little bit, Peter is going to show you a rockstar demo of what that might look like. Weeks 1 through 3, it's up to you. You can either publish a live agent on a demo website, or you can just post a video on X tagging our 2 Twitter accounts at Hedera and at Hedera Devs. So either one of those is a valid option just to show what your AI agent does. We want to really spur the community and get agents running on Hedera as soon as we can. So weeks 1 through 3, you can either host your agent or make a video. But weeks 4 and 5 require that you do have that agent hosted online, which is one of the reasons that's a little bit higher paying of a bounty. And one favor we are asking for you is that you leave feedback, and that is going to be in the form of a GitHub issue. So we have that surfaced to our whole dev team, and so that we have sort of a record of like, okay, what's going on with this? If you go to the website, and in the submission form right here, there is a link to where that feedback should go. And there are also a link right here for submitting feedback. You can also just report a regular issue as long as you have a link to a GitHub issue on one of the Hedera AI Studio products or open source tools. That counts as feedback, but it is a requirement for your submission, so don't forget about that. All right. Quick overview of the Hedera Agent Kit. So I went through this really quickly, but the Hedera Agent Kit v4 has modular packages, multiple frameworks, and agentic commerce with control. So one of the things that we're focusing on is agentic commerce on Hedera. And in order for agentic commerce to happen, especially for the wider industries to adopt it, is we're going to need to have controls on these agents. So there's important things to consider. One, how do we put deterministic limits on what an agent can do? So instead of just prompting an agent and saying, hey, I want you to do this and I want you to spend my money, but don't spend more than $1,000, it's really easy for an agent to hallucinate or maybe intentionally, spend more money than you prompted. So by using the Hedera Agent Kit SDK, we can put controls on there that that agent can't bypass. When we're thinking about this as well, as we move into like an agentic society and start to have more agents built across different industries, people are going to need to have audit trails to be able to see what that agent is doing. And we think Hedera Consensus Service is really, really well suited for that. So another thing that you can do for agentic commerce with control is add on there. The last thing that we're really looking for is how do we are you adding identity to your agent? In order for agents to be able to transact and interact in different places, in different marketplaces, they're going to need things like reputation and identity so that people can say, yes, this agent is allowed to transact on my website, or no, this isn't. And, try to, in the same way that we do with preventing nefarious human individuals, we want to be able to put guardrails to have some control on what agents are accessing, what services, features, and marketplaces. So the Agent Kit has been newly updated with a better design, new functionality for agents. We support LangChain, the Google ADK, and Vercel AI SDK, and this modular architecture was designed for agentic commerce. So the key features you should look out for are those hooks and policies. That new architecture where you only need to install and import the packages that you need. So if you're not using the Hedera MCP, you don't need to install and import that in your agent code. And this modular plugin framework to bring in tools from other platforms. We're always really, really happy to see people create a PR for a new plugin. If you are someone that might want to create a plugin, for example, in the JavaScript SDK, we have guidance on how to create a plugin, especially with the V4 tool interface. And this is the new V4 tool interface. It is new in version 4 of the Hedera Agent Kit. It's that base tool implementation. We have a way to we have instructions on how to create a plugin, and then publishing and registering your plugin. One important thing to note is our repos require DCO signing. So if you are contributing a plugin, make sure you're doing that from the beginning to save you some headache. And we're going to ask for you to publish some information and an NPM package, and then you can submit it for review. And we're really eager to bring in as many plugins as we can so that different people can do that. So this is an example of, what you might want to submit for this. We will be validating and doing a security review on plugins so that people know that it is safe for them to use and include in there. And then we sort of have like an example of like, okay, this is the information that you should include in your plugin. Peter, am I missing anything about V4, the Hedera Agent Kit?
I don't think so. I will also go through the repo when we have the demo.
Okay. So, and note that we do have JavaScript and Python SDKs, but the JavaScript SDK is a little bit more built out. For example, if only the JavaScript SDK supports the Vercel AI SDK framework and Eliza OS, and the hooks and policies, I believe. Do hooks and policies exist in Python? They do.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we also have a new tool, and right now I'm going to show you what's in our staging site. We have a new tool that allows you to like really quickly prototype and kind of explore what you can do with the Hedera Agent Kit. So if you go to portal.hedera.com and you play around with it, what you can do is go to our Agent Lab tab. And really quickly, you can build an agent. And we also have an agent builder workflow. If you're working with somebody that doesn't want to deal with code at all, we have this like no code agent builder. You choose a couple options. You choose you want autonomous or human in the loop mode, and it'll it'll give you sort of a UI for that. But especially since we're working with developers, what we have here is it's a builder. Now, there are some limitations to this. You can't import outside packages. It's just being rendered in the browser, so it's limited to what you can import. But what you can do here is explore the different plugins and what the different plugins, what tools the different plugins have really quickly and really easily, right? So right now I just have our, let's just put the core token plugin in here. And then you can see all of the tools that are available with that particular plugin. I get rid of that, all those tools are gone. And let's add our consensus plugin. You can see which tools are available to you. So it makes it really easy to figure out, okay, what plugins do I want to use? How do I use them? And this isn't quite released yet, but we'll also be including some of those, not all of them, but some of these third-party plugins in our agent lab. And if you move into advanced mode, you can edit the code yourself. And we have a chat assistant that helps you, much like a Cursor or Windsurf might do. From here, if you want a prototype, you can simply click download agent and it'll download some boilerplate agent code. And that's one option for you to be able to quickly explore and play around with the Hedera Agent Lab. Last but not least, we have these hooks and policies. These are only examples. I think they're not necessarily even the best functional example of what we can do, but we have some hooks and policies that we've created right here, where we can set the max number of recipients, where you can block certain tools from ever being used by an agent, and you can include different types of audit trails. A note for this, you'll have to create a Hedera topic in order to enable these things. Yeah, the URL for that is portal.hedera.com, and then just go to the Agent Lab tab. All right, and I'm going to hand it over to Peter.
Okay, please just give me a second. I will share my screen. So let me know, Lindsay, if my screen is visible.
I see it, yeah.
Okay, so I will showcase you a few things. First of all, the Hedera portal is great. The next version that Lindsay showcased looks even better, but I will showcase you just very simple how you can use it and what exactly each of these controls means. Then I will showcase you a very simple demo that basically touches a lot of the stuffs or the building blocks that we've built over the last few months and what cool can you do with that. And then I will go a bit over the source code and give you some insights. Of course, if you will have any questions during that, please write them in the comments. So first of all, like you see, we have a pretty cool agent lab. And if you are not familiar with Agent Studio or AI Studio, but you think that the bounties are really cool, awesome, and you would like to take part in that, it's really easy. So like Lindsay showcased, here you have a few things. So first of all, you can choose which frameworks you want to use. And it's also important that even if you want to do it from scratch, in your editor or IDE, you can always use that as a guide. So you can choose your framework. You can choose if it's autonomous. Autonomous basically means that the agent has an Hedera account and it signs and executes that transactions on his behalf. Or you have human in the loop, which basically means that the agent just returns you the raw transaction and you can sign it. And here you have the multiple plugins that we support. Third-party plugins are coming in the next release, so stay tuned. So let's assume we got a comment like this today or during the development or office hours. Let's assume you want to have an agent that transfers HBAR, right? So here you just need to use the core account plugin And here you see that the core account plugin has the transfer HBAR tool. Okay, but what can you do now? Now you just click run account, run agent, and you write transfer 1 HBAR to 0.0.1. Let's subsidize a node. And basically, hopefully, you have a transaction and it's successful. If you would, instead of that, use the human in the loop, then as you see here, we change the context, the mode from autonomous to return bytes. And now you can again write transfer 1 HBAR to a node. This time, this is obviously integrated to the Hedera dev portal integrated wallet, but here you see now I need to sign and execute a transaction. So you see that transaction was successful. So really, if you think that the bounties are interesting, it's really easy to take part in it. You can even use the Hedera portal as your starting point. Okay, so we've covered that. Now I want to showcase you a very easy demo. So let's assume you have an API endpoint and you would like to charge money for each request to that data. To do it, you can just use an X402 payment middle layer. And then let's assume you want to be able to use or pay for that API request via your cloud code. What can you do? So we need a few things. We need the X402 protocol. Hedera officially supports X402, or Hedera is supported in the spec. Then you need an MCP so that your cloud code can really easy call your endpoint. And then you need a skill so that cloud code understands what you mean. So we have a pretty straightforward demo and an open sourced repo to showcase that. So I don't know, Lindsay, is the presentation public because the link was there?
I can share it. I'll print it out as a PDF and I'll add it in Discord.
Okay, so if you go to blockdev/Hedera AI Studio demo, you have a demo and the source code of what I will showcase you now. So if you go here, the first thing after you clone the repo that you need to do is to run the setup. It's just a devx thingy. It installs a few things and make sure that everything will work correctly. So give us a minute. Okay, we have it now. And now I've prepared a script called devall. And this will run two things. It runs the facilitator and the server that provides that data after you pay for it. In this demo, we are running the facilitator locally, just that you have an example how to do it. Of course, you don't need to do it by your own. You can use a public facilitator, like for example, the blocky402.com that supports Hedera. So now, if we let's run a new Claude. Give me a second. So now you just need to run Claude and say, get me the paid insight. Claude now will run the Hedera paid insight skill, which will tell him that he should call the Hedera paid insight MCP. And here you see that the server got a request without payment, it responded with, then it got a request with the payment. The facilitator verified that, and the server responded. And here you see that we've got a cool insight that HTS continues to dominate Hedera transaction mix. So with all of that tooling that we've built, you really the only thing that's stopping you is your imagination. You can really have flows where websites very easy monetize endpoints, and agents can really easy consume these endpoints. So now how it's built. It has, like I showcased in the beginning, a few components. The first thing is the server. So it uses X402 and the Hedera package. We will talk about the Hedera package in a moment. But basically, you just need to specify a normal endpoint and say that it should require payments. So this part comes it's the basic block of X402. And sorry, you also specified to which Hedera address the payment should go and what's the price and what's the asset. So it's really straightforward for anyone that uses Express or any other supported servers to require payments. So then you need to have a facilitator. Like I said, you can use blocky402.com, but if somebody wants to run a facilitator by their own, it's pretty straightforward. You basically need to implement a few things. Again, you can use the X402 library and from the X402 Hedera, the facilitator. A facilitator basically needs to have two endpoints: verify, which verifies that the transaction is correct, and also a settle endpoint, which basically also settles the transaction. And as you see here, that's a standard X402 building block. The only thing that you need to do that is Hedera related, and it's also in the X402 dash Hedera is, or slash Hedera, is you need to create a new Hedera signer, and that's the only thing that is specific to Hedera for X402. So that's the one thing. Then we need to have an Hedera Agent Kit plugin. Why do you have it, or why I would recommend to use it? It's because Hedera Agent Kit is compatible with MCP. So if you want to have an MCP that has some toolings or some tools, you just need to implement a Hedera Agent Kit plugin. We have a lot of documentation around that in the Hedera Agent Kit JS GitHub. But here, I'm just saying that this tool pays one HBAR on Hedera testnet to fetch a premium AI-generated insight via the X402 protocol. So why do we have this description? Because based on this description, when Claude connects to the MCP, it understands which tool to call. And then here we just are using again the X402 library to fetch with payment. So we are configuring Hedera and we are fetching that with a payment. So it's really straightforward. And so we have the Hedera Agent Kit paid insight plugin, and now the next building block is the MCP server. It's really straightforward. You just need to configure your Hedera Agent Kit MCP. Then you create the Hedera MCP toolkit, and you launch an STDO server transport. So this is basically an MCP that runs on the standard input-output protocol, but of course you can have it on HTTP. It's not a problem. And now we have the famous skill, which basically says that you should just call the MCP tool with no arguments, and we explain what is the response like. So that's all. So when you utilize all of the different building blocks, you can really create pretty interesting flows in as pretty straightforward. There is one caveat. Sadly, X402/Hedera is not published yet. It's open sourced. It's not published on NPM. We tried to bump the X402 team to do it, but we are still waiting for this feedback. So what I recommend to do, it's also pretty straightforward. You just link the X402/Hedera package as a submodule, and you can use it as it would be live on NPM. So for anyone interested, give me a second. You can find Hedera in the Hedera implementation in the X402 repo. You just need to go to TypeScript, packages, mechanism, and here you have Hedera X402, and you just need to link that, and hopefully in the next week it's live. So hopefully before the bounty starts, it's already there. But if it isn't, then you can just link it as a submodule, and you always can just look at the example repo how to do it. Now, Lindsay mentioned that in V4 we've introduced policies and hooks, and this is a deterministic way to validate some requirements on the SDK level. So if anyone is interested in that and would like to understand how it works, you can always just go to Hashgraph to the Hedera Agent Kit JS repository. Here in packages, core, source, you have the hooks, plugins, and policies. And what I always recommend you to do is just to look at the source code. So here you have max recipients policy and reject tool policy. So max recipients is an example policy that validates how many recipients the given policy has, the given transaction has, and this is a bit complicated because this policy validates each Hedera transaction field if it meets the constraint. But for example, the reject tool policy, which basically disallows the agent to use any tool that's not permitted. It's pretty straightforward. You just need to implement one function. So you can create a class that extends the abstract policy, and you can define any policies or hooks that you want. So how does it work? It basically allows you, so the Hedera Agent Kit plugin has a life cycle, and the policy allows you to inject a source code or inject code in a few steps of this life cycle, and it allows you to just circle break, so stop the execution of the given life cycle. And I think that's all from my side. So if anyone has any questions, then please let me know. I see that somebody wrote hoping for the X402 to go live. So just to make sure that we understand, X402, Hedera is live on X402. Hedera is and was part of the official specification since I think December or since January, and Hedera reference implementation is also live on the official X402 code base. The only thing that we are waiting for is that it will also be a separate NPM package, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, but Hedera X402 is live. Yes, policies and hooks are guardrails. Exactly. So they run as pre and post steps in the end agent cycle, but you also can inject them before normalization, after the parameters normalization, before the Hedera transaction is being built, after the Hedera transaction is built, and before the Hedera transaction is signed and executed. So you have multiple places where you can inject the code. So Lizzie, I think that's everything from my side.
Sure. Right. Yeah, and I'm really excited to see, what people come up with in terms of, hooks and policies. Crowdsourcing ideas, I think, is the best part of bounties or hackathons like that. Actually, and one thing to note is that some of our bounties ask that our final bounty, and it's the highest paying one, asks that you implement your own policy. So I'm really excited to see what people come up with. And I also see a community member too here that has already contributed a plugin to our Hedera Agent Kit. That earns you some, extra brownie points. So if you decide to, say, build an agent using the plugin that you've already created, we'll definitely take that into consideration as well.
And exactly 100% correct. And I would like to add 2 more things. First of all, if you have an amazing idea of a great flow that you would like to build, but sadly you think there is a blocker and something is missing in our tech stack or in our SDKs, etc., that's exactly the kind of feedback that we would love to get, because then we understand what we need to build, so that we make it easier for you guys to build amazing things, and that's one of our goals. And the second thing is, and I know Lindsay mentioned that in the beginning, every work day from Monday to Friday we have an
Thursday.
office hour.
Monday to Thursday. Monday to Thursday.
Monday to Thursday, we have an office hours on Discord. And today I was there, tomorrow a different colleague is there. So if you have any questions, would like to discuss your idea or have problems or would like to have any support in how things can be done, please just join the Discord during the office hours, ask the questions, and we are happy to support you.
Yeah, so we'll be in the AI agent bounty office hours, but also in the dev Q&A office hours. If you go to the Hedera Discord, you go to events, you can find it there. And then also we'll be very much monitoring this developer support thread where you guys have questions. All right. A couple more things, sort of the nuts and bolts of what's going on with this agent kit. Fermin will be sharing this deck, so you guys have all the links. Hedera Docs, as I mentioned before, has the full documentation on what's available. So go to hedera.com, docs.hedera.com, and it's under open source solutions, but there's also a nice little banner on the homepage. We also have a new blog post open about what is new in the Hedera Agent Kit. So check that out as well. It kind of goes into high level, okay, what's new? What do we need to think about without you having to dig through the docs to see everything. In order to build, like we showed you before, portal.hedera.com/agentlab is that little prototyping tool we have available. And then each of our SDKs also has examples in there. Some fun things that our DevRel team has set up for everyone is there are Hedera skills. There's the Hedera skills repo under our Hedera Dev organization. And there's even a skill for building plugins right there. So if you want to, supercharge your vibe coding, add those Hedera skills to it to help you build. And Jake, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with from DevRel, has built something called Scaffold, has worked with the Builder Labs team to build something called Scaffold HBAR. And it's essentially a full stack dApp template for Hedera. Use this. It's a boilerplate. It gives you a front end, Hedera plumbing, integrating a wallet, and even if you want to spin up a solo Hedera node. So important things to submit. aibounties.hedera.com. This is the website. It has all of our bounties. It has our terms and conditions. Check those out. But also the submission form. And please, 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 and it's required for your submission, you have to submit feedback to the Hedera Agent Kit. You can use this issue template ideally because it has a couple like little scoring questions to let us know like how easy your experience was. And here's Peter's demo. Again, Fermine will share this deck in Discord, so you all have all of these resources available for you. I'm going to go quick over some rules and requirements. As someone who has judged previous hackathons and things like that, I wanted to go over a few things. I don't want people submitting things if it's not going to be even, qualified or able to be counted in this. So 1 bounty per entry per person per team. So pick one of the bounties. Do not do multiple bounty entries because we're only going to consider the first one you do. So look over those bounties, make sure that you know which one you want to submit for. If you are a team, if there's more than one of you, you must choose the one person who's your representative and who will receive the funds. And it is up to you to work with that person to receive your share of the bounty. And this is going to be the person that we'll be contacting. If you do win a bounty, in that form, we ask you to submit your email. We're going to do like a test transfer of HBAR. We want to make sure the wallet address that you gave us is live and correct and can receive HBAR. So if you win a bounty, triple check that email address. We'll also try to reach out to you on Discord and other places, but we are going to do a test transfer first of 1 HBAR, and then we'll do the bounty amount as well. Take a look at the terms and conditions. There's some eligibility requirements, which also includes certain being in a certain jurisdiction. So take a look at that list. We will need to verify that you meet all of these eligibility requirements, that you are who you say you are, that you are of a certain age, that you have a certain live in a certain jurisdiction. And as I said before, you have to designate 1 authorized representative. So there's that campaign window. It is from Monday, May 18th is when the first bounty opened to Sunday, June 21st. That is when all the submissions are in. And then we have like a submission period. That's a submission period. And then we're going to have a judging period about 3 weeks after that. And a really big thing is that we're going to be looking at your Git history. This is something that I've noticed in other hackathons. That was something that I pointed out. We do not want to see a small handful of commits and 1 giant commit with all of the uploads. That tells us that this is a project that already existed before this. This is functionality. We're looking for people to build new things with our new Hedera Agent Kit. It is the duty of you as the entrant to show a commit history that proves to us that this was worked on during this period, and that it isn't a pre-existing sort of project. Vibe coding is fine. I get that, especially if you're vibe coding, you're going to get really big commits. I highly suggest that as you're vibe coding, you do lots of separate commits. It's good for reverting changes and hallucinations, for one thing, and 2, it shows us that you worked iteratively on this thing. The thing that we're also looking for in that commit history is that, hey, did you take a look at it and make some fine tuning after we had this? Maybe we did a really big one-shot prompt, but something naturally you'll do when you're vibe coding is you're going to make tweaks to it. You're going to say, hey, I want to change this file and this doesn't quite make sense. So we're looking for not necessarily no vibe coding, but we're looking for there is a human in the loop here building this agentic workflow. Something that's a little different than other hackathons, your entire platform does not have to be brand new. You could have a DApp or an application that you already had that is existing and add an agent to that. That is okay. But we have to see the commit history of you adding the agentic or the agentic functionality to that existing platform within the submission period from May to June. We'll be paying out an HBAR. There's like a 30-day volume weighted average price, so it's not going to be the exact value of HBAR on the day it's sent to you. We'll communicate a little bit more about that, but read the terms and conditions because digital assets do fluctuate. And then in the submission form, you're going to be sending a wallet address, and we're going to send that to you within 90 days of the winner announcement, which is on or around, the announcement will be on or around July 13th. So we'll do that test HBAR transfer, but you guys need to make sure you send a good wallet, just the basics. Yeah, so there's one prize per team for the whole bounty campaign. If we cannot get a hold of you within 30 days of that July 13th date, it is considered forfeited, and we will try to get a hold of you in as many ways as we can, but make sure you're keeping an eye out on whatever contact email and methods that you've sent for this. So failure to abide by any of these rules and terms, it automatically disqualifies you, especially that commit history. And when you submit a bounty, it means that you agree to the terms and conditions. So there's all the boring nitty gritty. Take a look at the terms and conditions. I'm really excited to see what types of agents, and I'm really excited to see how we can start to build agents in multiple different use cases in Web 2 and Web 3. So go forth and build. Let us know what you think. And we'll be here for another couple of minutes if anyone has any questions.
I couldn't say it better.
Thanks, guys.